Hello and welcome to Geeks Assembled. And today we are going to be reviewing the 2019 war movie 1917, directed by Sam Mendes. I'm joined by a very varied group of people. So let's first go to Texas Tim, because I'm interested to see what he thinks of this movie.
Hello. I thought it was an excellent movie. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was an excellent movie. I think it's refreshing to have a movie that's about World War One. Most of these war movies are usually about World War II, which usually tell a much bigger story. This is a very small story if you think about it. It's basically two men on a mission to go provide some instructions to the front of the war, wherever the war's at, a few miles down the road. And it's about their journey and their travels. Unfortunately, one of them gets killed pretty early in the film. I was surprised at that, and the other one goes on his way. The movie's done in real time, which is pretty cool. I thought that was a refreshing way to do it as well. So basically, you have a lot of movement, and you get to there's a point where the story breaks, where the guy passes out or gets knocked out for a while. You get to see some of the brief personal tragedies of people on the way as well. Like he runs into a young woman who's just had a baby, and she's there starving. She has nothing to do, so he gives her some food, and she's just basically hiding out from the Nazis or whatever. One of the most interesting things I thought about it too was that when he gets to his destination, nobody wants to listen to him. I mean, he's got all these generals and whatnot. He's supposed to deliver these messages for these people not to get involved in this skirmish they're about to get involved in, and nobody really wants to listen to him. Finally, he meets the right guy and tells him that's pretty much it. His journey's done. It was a very good movie, very fast-paced and not boring at all.
Thank you, Tim. Let's go to Phil next. What do you think, Phil?
You're muted.
Muted.
I really enjoyed it. I didn't really know that much about it, to be honest. I'd heard the name, but I didn't really know anything about it. But yeah, I was completely dragged into the story, and it's so well done. Really small cast, really. Two leads and a lot of guest characters, really, that just appear on that journey. But the way it was directed and the way that it was shot was very unusual, I thought. Very striking, and it draws you into those characters and their plight on that mission that they've undertaken. And I mean, I've just been reading up a little bit more about it today. I really want to get the Blu-ray now and watch the special features. I thought the art direction and the design was superb. I mean, I'm still not quite sure how much was real, whether how much of it was CGI and how much of it was actually built. But that's hopefully what the special features might reveal. But I know, and it felt like, didn't it? It was one continuous take. Which is amazing, really. Obviously, it wasn't done like that, but that's how it feels. The camera never stops moving, except for that break from dusk till nighttime or something when he gets knocked unconscious. I think that's the only break in the whole film, and it just gives you that you're on that journey with them. That's how it makes you feel. And a perilous journey it is at that. And yeah, as Tim already just said, you think you're going on a journey with two people, and then like 20 minutes in, it's a solo journey. But that sort of just brings the dangers of that time and that situation.
Yep, thank you, Phil. Lee, what do you think?
Well, all the hype about this at the end of last year, saying, "Oh, this is Oscar worthy," all this, and it did win a lot of awards, but it just didn't get the Oscar, which I think they were robbed. I mean, I like war movies, but war movies have been done to death. You know, you tell one story, you've seen all the other stories. They're all similar stories. And I went into this expecting it to be a war movie, and as we say, it's not a movie about what. It's a movie about these two soldiers going on a mission, on a journey, you know, to send the general's orders. Because I was expecting, you know, all this fighting, all the Nazis and stuff like that. But no, it's you got to feel for these characters along the journey. As it's been said, it turned into a solo journey. But I did like all the little cameos of all these famous people that popped up every now and again. Surprised to see Mark Strong in it, and then we had what's his name, Cucumber Patch. I never can say his name. But yeah, I enjoyed it. As it's been said, it feels like it's one take, but I'm sure there's some camera trickery going on there. And as Jake mentioned in the chat we was having earlier, how big was the set of the trenches? they were just endless. But brilliantly done. I'd say the camera work in this, the direction is just amazing. And as for the acting, it's just top notch. Really is. It deserved all the accolades it got. To be honest, it really did. There's one thing I'm guessing it was called 1917 because of the year it was set.
Yeah.
I'd have called it something different, to be honest. I'd have called it Schofield's Journey or something. But there you go.
Thank you.
That's just, yeah.
Susan, what do you think?
Well, I saw it once, and I did a rewatch for this podcast because it was so good, and the things that were remarkable about it were numerous. I mean, it was beautiful in that sort of grimy, muddy, trenches kind of way. But the thing that was really astonishing was that it was never a long shot on them very much. It was always right here, like intimate, like it was a really intimate movie. And so I really felt like I was connected, and it was a real relational movie as well. The soldiers that were in the one battalion going to tell the other battalions that not to move ahead, and because it was a trap. I mean, that was those two had a really tight relationship, and then there was the sorts of relationships that they built along the way, in the truck, in the other trench, their trenches, and then on the German side through theirs, and then it was just there was lots of relationship stuff that I'll get to in my favorite moments. Back over to you, Connor.
Thank you, Susan. Jake, what are your opening thoughts?
Well, when this film was originally proposed for this podcast, I was hesitant because, likely, I cannot stand war movies. I think they're so boring. But I thoroughly enjoyed this film because, like what Lee said, it's very much a journey. And it's about these two sailors trudging along, going through all the bereavements of war without seeing the battle, if that makes sense. It's the afterwave. It was basically getting the shockwaves of a war and how people get caught in the shockwave, really. And I found it a very beautiful character piece. And like what Phil was saying, the sets, I love a good set. And this set was phenomenal, especially this massive set that they built for this trench in so detailed to the last little rat, basically. And it's just great. I'm really struggling to fault it, apart from the really fit one dies quite early on. But apart from that, I can look past that film director person. But yeah, it was good. It was quite emotional. It was thrilling. And the CGI in this film was very hard to notice. That's how good the CGI was. There's some bits of like, was that CGI or wasn't it? Because, yeah, and all the bodies you see, it was really gruesome in places too, which I love. This shows how horrible war is. That's just my own thoughts, really.
Thank you, Jake. Last but not least, myself. 1917 is a movie that I was anticipating for the best part of half a year because Sam Mendes, fantastic director, American Beauty, Skyfall, Spectre, amongst others, and it really delivered. Like, the cast is not huge, but every name, maybe apart from the girl, is well known. You've got Mark Strong, as Lee said, Benedict Cumberbatch, Colin Firth's in there, Daniel Mays is in there, Richard Madden, Andrew Scott. It's just a list of great British actors that just stole every scene almost. And most of them were only on screen for 2 minutes at the best of times. Thoroughly amazing story, very personal, very emotional. The twist of Dean Charles Chapman's character dying so early on was genuinely shocking. And part of that is actually in the first trailer. So I didn't expect them to kind of, when I saw that in the trailer, the plane crashing through the barn, I didn't expect it to end in that. Yeah, just awesome. But the man of the hour, I should say, is Roger Deakins for the cinematography, the one shot, which is actually, from what I remember Mendes actually saying, is one shot. Deakins went to great pains to make it happen the way that we see it. So there's no trickery in the cut or anything to try and make it look like one shot. It really is one shot. And it's mostly practical effects as well. The sets were built, very little CGI. It really is a marvel of cinematic magic. The story is very simple, very personal, as I said, and it really suits the one shot take, because I don't think it feels gimmicky, because you really are following these two boys through this perilous journey to deliver this message to the other battalion to stop the attack, because it's a trap. Very simple setup, but it works so well to accommodate the more like outrageous cinematic aspects that they use, such as I mentioned, the one shot take. Yeah, great movie, faultless, and I agree with Lee. I think it got robbed at the Oscars. As good a movie as Parasite is, I think Mendes should have won Best Director, and 1917 should have won Best Picture. So yeah, that's my opening thoughts. Next, we'll move on to favourite moments. So Lee, what's your favourite moments?
Oh, where to begin? Where to begin? Well, as you say, the one shot thing, it's blown me away. That, but the journey through no man's land that's fairly on with the two boys was just horrendous. I mean, it was just like, the land of the dead. It was just soil, blood, dead horses, barbed wire. It was just shot. I mean, something like that so grim was shot so beautifully. You know what I mean? That was one of the best. Also, the river, the waterfall scene was really, action filled. There was also when he was trying to get out of there, climbing over all those the dam of the dead bodies. That was just, it grips at you. That there's so many. I mean, you got to feel what's the actor? Is it George McKay?
Yeah, George McKay.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him in another film, what he did a couple of years ago called Pride, and he was brilliant in that. And he's a brilliant young actor. He's destined for big things. I know he's done a few more other stuff than this, but he's destined to go a long way, I think, in his career. I just it didn't bore me, and if I don't get bored in a movie, the movie's worked for me. And this, from beginning to end, I watched it non-stop. I was enthralled, and as I say, you feel for these people. So, and if that's the feeling I get at the end of it, it's worked. The movie's done its thing. So yeah, over to you, Connor.
Thank you, Lee. Phil, what's your favourite moment?
Well, much like Lee, it's quite hard to pick a favourite moment. I think probably the most exciting sequence was in the ruins of that town. I think the lighting in that sequence was incredible. The shadows, where the Germans could be, nowhere was safe. I mean, that journey was not a safe journey by any stretch of the imagination. But the visuals, that bombed city with just remnants of buildings and stuff. Like I said, the cinematography, the visuals were stunning. But I think that sequence, I suppose as well, being at night with searchlights and torches and everything else, just a very exciting and amazing sequence.
Thank you, Phil. Susan, what's your favourite moment?
All right, my favorite moments were when they were when the lady, what's her name? Oh boy. I don't see it. The lady, the French lady and her baby were, being fed and cared for by the lance corporal, and that was great. And then the other part that was really dramatic was the death scene where the pilot stabs the other lance corporal. That was like, and then the way that he was just trying to save him from burning alive, only to lose his own life. I mean, war is truly hell. It's like that was. I mean, he didn't. Yeah, he could have taken him as a hostage, but also the whole idea that that in order to reach out to help, he was sacrificing himself. It was truly noble and quite emotionally heart wrenching. And then the way he proceeded after that, and how I just can't tell you how amazing it was that the camera stayed on the lance corporal that survived, Lance Corporal Schofield. Yeah, I mean, like they stayed on his face, even in the water. I mean, of course, it was a long shot when he fell in, but I mean, even through all the rapids, I mean, that was incredible. I mean, so much water, and the camera, you know, stayed on him. That to me was mind blowing, and because I mean, water adds an element of chaos, and those were some serious rapids, and the fact that he was able to stay afloat through that. I mean, and this is like a true story. This is one of Sam Mendes's like grandparents or something. I mean, like, so what the heck? That's great. Anyway, back over to you, Connor. I just really, I can't say enough good things about the way they shot it and
Thank
those
you, Susan.
intimacies.
Yep, thank you, Susan. Jake, what's your favourite moments?
Oh, that's a hard one. Probably a bit when they're going all through the barbed wire and you've seen all the dead bodies. I'm a bit graphic like that. I like really good set scenery. You see all your decaying bodies everywhere. But yeah, there was another bit. There's another bit I enjoyed, but I can't put my thing. Oh yeah, serious. When he was walking across the battlefield and all the artillery were being blown out around him, I felt it was so powerful. Even I did giggle every time a soldier fell over into him because I'm sadistic, and it was so tense that all these explosions happening everywhere. When they eventually when you meet Benedict Cumberbatch, his character, he's like, "Oh, fuck off," when he wants to get rid of him. I was like, that's quite funny. I like that bit because he finally got like relief for him. And then when I like the scene where he met the attractive one's really unattractive brother, and they give him the rings. I thought it was quite a nice scene, and I was expecting to hug him, like turn around and hug him. I was a little bit disappointed by that, but it was all in all, it was a nice film. The beautiful scenery, like I said, the camera work was so good. I'm so envious of how they could have done that without tripping over and face planting into the set, because that was quite a narrow set. It's quite claustrophobic, judging by what we could see on screen. So how they didn't trip over a wire and smack their face on the side or something. But yeah, it's very well put together, and ever since joining this group, I found myself enjoying these war movies an awful lot more than what I would if I wasn't reviewing them.
Thank you, Jake. Tim, what's your favourite moments?
Well, I would say that you forget when you get towards the end of the film, and it's very stressful too because he goes and he wants to deliver his message. Nobody wants to listen to him, and like was just pointed out, it's like very frustrating because you forget he also has another mission. He wants to hand over the rings of his friend who he lost, and give his final to his family, which is his brother, which is right there, which is you forget all about all that until that moment, and that's a very good way to cap off the movie. It makes it a very emotional ending, because it does pay off in a huge way. But it's also, I would say, I would pile on about the camera work as well and the direction. Those long takes are really masterfully done because if you, especially like in the scene with the airplane crashing, because the camera tends to move around the whole place they're at and come back to them as they've moved along. And then same effect also when he joins those other men temporarily on their vehicles, that one of them gets stuck in the mud and so the camera never stays still. It continues to move around the scenes. And that's why it's so effective. And that's what makes you feel like you're really there. You're really part of it. This is one of those movies you can lose yourself in because it also takes place in real time. I wish if I could have, I would have seen it in the cinema because that would have been a better experience. That would really take you in. But I watched it at home like everybody else. But again, I would also agree with you guys that said it got robbed. It really should have won Best Picture last year.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah, I agree. Totally should have won Best Picture, I think. My favourite moment, I think it really comes down to the cinematography, to be honest with me, more than the story, even though the story is very good and very emotional. One scene that springs to mind is shortly after he gets knocked out, he kind of walks into the darkness. You can see the darkness with the orange, the really bright orange light. That is fantastic. That's some of the best cinematography I've seen since maybe Blade Runner 2049. Also, the water scene when he's being submerged and being dragged down the rapids is amazing. It's difficult because it's really kind of one scene, really, I'd call it. So it would be appropriate to say that the whole movie is just one great scene. And it's just so masterfully done. The last few years, we've had so many great war movies that it almost feels like war movies are becoming the new vogue. We had Hacksaw Ridge, which was amazing. Dunkirk, which I would rate a little bit higher than 1917, but that's a very good movie again. And then this, which kind of came out of nowhere, really. and it's managed to stand apart from them two movies, and really kind of set itself up to be one of maybe cinema's greatest achievements, being the one shot the one shot movie to end all one shot movies, maybe. Yeah, just a fabulous, fabulous movie. George McKay, as Lee mentioned, should have been nominated for an Oscar. This is an amazing performance. He carried this movie all on his own, and he's a very young actor. There's a lot of hype around him now in Hollywood. He's getting a lot of roles, I think, and well deserved. Just phenomenal piece of art. Let's now move on to any general thoughts. Does anyone have any general thoughts that they want to share?
I do.
I looked it up, and the rapids. I was really interested in the rapids, and apparently, this movie's rapids were considered Class 6, which is the most extreme because of the great big boulders in the middle and stuff. I mean, they were risking their lives just shooting it. Amazing, amazing thing.
Tim?
I think it's my on. Yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, George Mackay, just the endurance, actually. I mean, my God, he must have been really fit before doing this film because clearly, and it wasn't. I've seen a little interview with them today with the two the two Lance Corporals or whatever, and you know, yes, it looks like one take, but sometimes they did 50 takes of one sequence a day. That takes, you know, just to get it right. You know, I think he said that there was one scene where they did it about 7 times and the rifle just kept coming off his shoulder right at the end of the take. So, but you know, but that takes something physical out of an actor to be able to deliver that performance, take after take after take, and you're doing it that many times. But yeah, so it's, I mean, it's a huge acting achievement, and also just apparently the way they shot it, you know, with these new lightweight mini cameras on wires and things, so that they're constant, you know, being held above and whatever, so that they were ultimately as flexible as they could be. Yeah, it's an amazing achievement.
What you got to realise, this shows you. I mean, as Tim said earlier, it's fresh because this is set in World War One. And as he mentioned, we always get World War II movies, so it's quite fresh take on having it set in that battle. But it also goes to show these soldiers were just children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were just children. They wanted to fight for the country. They lied about their age on the sign-up papers. They wanted to, you know, win the Hun, sort of thing. And there's nothing glorified about war. You know, there's nothing to. But you know, you've got to just take a moment and just realise of all the young lives what was lost in these battles, in this war. And it does bring it home when you see these two young soldiers, you know, on a mission, doing, you know, all the way through this movie. It's just a great, and as Susan mentioned, it's a story what I think Sam Mendes' grandfather told about two soldiers when he was at war, or he, you know, when someone.
It's based about that. I think it's a tiny, small segment of it, and then he extrapolates
it was
from
expanded sort of thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, to take a little a grandfather's story like that and to make it into something like this, such talent and such dedication.
Yeah.
Such vision.
Yeah. Exactly.
Also, I think that this is the kind of project, this film, the way the story is structured and the way it's set up, you can get a lot of good actors in as cameos like they did with this film, because it's basically just a phone call. Hey, you good for a day here? Think we can film a scene with you being that commander, that person. You know what I mean? And the film is full of those kind of cameos, and that's great. I mean, that's the kind of, and these actors probably were all champing at the bit to go work with Mendes for just a day or two, just to film their little scenes. And it's really a surprise because you're watching the movie, you're all wrapped up in the drama, and then all of a sudden so and so shows up. Oh shit, what's he doing here? But that's fine. It works. So I thought that was a great aspect of it as well.
Any more for any more? Right, well, we'll move on to rating it then, I guess, and final thoughts. So let's go with Jake. What's your
I'm
final
gonna give this 10 out of 10. I really enjoyed it, and I was thoroughly surprised about how much I did enjoy it.
Thank you, Jay. Susan.
Yeah, likewise. I'm sure. I was going to say like a 19 out of 10 because 1917, but no, it's just a 10 out of 10. It was amazing, quite lovely.
Thank you, Susan. Phil.
Yeah, I think 10 out of 10 for me as well. Yeah. Fantastic film, fantastic visuals. I want to see it again on a bigger screen than my phone. And see how it was made.
Thank you, Phil. Lee.
Well, I'm going to go there, and I'm going to give it 1917 out of 10. which break it down, it's 10 out of 10.
Thank you, Lee. Tim.
Yeah, it's quite easily one of the best films in a while. And yeah, it's an easy 10. It's a very entertaining film because you get locked into it. You don't let go until it's over, and it's a really wonderful. It's a flawless movie, to be fair.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah, what the hell? I'll give it 10 out of 10 as well. And well done for getting Richard Madden in there as well, which is always a big thumbs up. But yeah, so that's all from us. A great movie. Definitely recommend anyone watching this review to see it if they haven't already, and definitely get it on 4K if you own a 4K player, because I'm sure that it is insane in 4K. Anyway, thanks for watching and listening, and to everyone here, thanks for joining for the review of 1917. Join us next time, and make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. I think we've got a bell noise, I'm not sure. And yeah, thanks for watching. So we'll see you later.